Hey everyone, welcome to a new park showcase video. In this video I will show you this park that I made called Space Base. I made this 1 year ago, I think, or maybe a little bit longer. This was the first park where I really heavily used scenery for all the rides. First my plan was to just make all the areas where guests could walk underground. But as I was building, I decided to put all my rides inside big buildings. Park's in year 60 now, or 59, so I usually approximately take 1 hour for every year. So I probably spend around 50 hours or 59 hours on this park, which is a lot faster than the parks I make now. But still, I think I crammed many rides into this park, and it looks really cool, especially when zoomed out. So yeah, there's about 55 rides in the park, of which some are used for track texture. So yeah, I'll try to show all of them, but I'll probably miss one or two. I'll leave a link in the description where you can watch some pictures of the park and where you can download it, so you can also check the park out for yourself. Anyway, I'll start here in the orange area, which is where the entrance of the park is. So this is where the park starts. So yeah, first of all, there's these. I made these two monorail lines. They travel throughout the park, and they have a very twisty track, twisting around all the buildings. And I think it's pretty cool to watch them go around the entire park. So yeah, there's bottom monorail, which is a normal monorail, and there's also a suspended monorail that travels above it in the other direction. I think they both look pretty cool, and they carry an amazing amount of people. This one has had more than 200,000 guests right now. There's always lots of guests riding it. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult to find all the rides. So yeah. Let's start with this Hardline Twister coaster. So this is actually a ride that I made quite late into the park. I had this awkward thin stretch of land left here, so I decided to make this Hardline Twister coaster. But I didn't want to extend into the crater wall on the side, so I actually merged it with a bobsleigh coaster track, just so it could make this sort of a S-bend. And I may have already said so in an earlier video, but hardline twisters look great when combined with the bobsleigh track. It just works really well. And the good thing is that these cars also have sprites for going through turns and even banked turns, so it usually works really well. Here we have this car ride using hover cars. They're from one of the expansions. I think it was the Time Twister expansion pack. Yeah, this travels here casually on the floor. Not that special of a ride, but I like how it just travels between all the buildings here. What else do we have here? Oh yes, we have this launched freefall coaster here. It's kind of hard to see because it's really wedged between all of the buildings. It has this launch track here, going right under these paths where the people walk. And then here, for a moment, it goes above ground. So I guess guests have to hold their breath for a while, and then after that, it goes back down into the launch track. You can also see this log flume here, also inside this big building. Has green water, just like the rest of this planet does. There's a ton of little boats on it. I think it's kind of funny how it looks when seen through glass. I think this also happened in the original game. So when you watch log flume through glass, somehow for some reason the water turns black. I think it's quite crazy effect. So here in the corner we have this junior coaster. That's quite a simple layout. So it is a reverse incline launched junior coaster. So I made this little building for it. So the lift hill here goes to the back. If I made it now again, I would probably made this sloped, use more scenery, different scenery I mean. But back then I was not that experienced yet, so that's why it now looks quite blocky like this. And here in the corner we just have a launched freefall tower, which has downward launch mode. So right here we have a looping coaster. I think this was the first roller coaster that I made in the park. So yeah, also a big building around it. So yeah, first test is a simple chain lift, then it goes through a loop, then it travels slowly over here and does some more turn around the track before it returns here to the station. Quite a simple layout, but also very compact. And I was quite happy with it. So yeah, most of the coasters in this park are actually quite compact, so I could fit them in the buildings. So here we have one of these Arrow shuttle loops. So yeah, I guess Arrow also started building coasters on other planets. So yeah, if you ever played Crumbly Woods, you would recognize this design. I think it's quite a cool design to work with. This one also, I made the station here in this building, and for a brief moment it's outside the building here, and then at the end it's inside the building again, with the last spike just popping out of the building. I think it looks quite cool. Okay, and here we have 3D cinema. I actually let the dome pop out of the building just to make it look like a radar dome. It's also what the ride is called. Here we have another coaster called Escape Velocity. So basically what this is, it's just an air-powered vertical coaster. So the station is here underground. Then it gets launched up the spike here. And it travels underground again for a bit. Then for a brief moment it pops up above the water, and then it's underground again before it returns to the station. You can also see this little mine ride here, one of the powered coasters. But yeah, this layout is really nothing special. Again, inside a big orange building. Oh yeah, there's a really cool ride here. So I made this ride here called Rocket Tours. Basically what it is it's just a ride which has an invisible track going around the park. So let's just follow this car for a bit. So yeah, first there's this launch ramp, then they travel upwards high above the park, and then they really do a tour high above between all the buildings. While I show you the rest of the park, you will probably see many of these rockets flying around. I made several other rides which have cars flying around the park. I think it gives a really cool effect. It just makes everything look a bit more busy. Okay, I think that was most rides from the orange part that were interesting to look at. So yeah, as you can see, the park is divided in 4 areas, each with their own color. I only decided to do this later on while I was building the park. I wanted to give each area sort of their own look, so not just the color but also their own building style. So you'll see that as I show you the rest of the park. So the orange area was what I built first. And then later I started building the blue area, the green area and the red area. So yeah, here's the blue area. One thing you'll probably notice is that unlike the orange part of the park, the blue buildings all have rounded corners. It's subtle, but I think it's a nice effect. So yeah, what do we have here? Just some space rings, all of mirrors. I think it's also from one of the expansions. Here we have a little food court. Oh yeah, of course there's this submarine ride here in the Green Lake. So yeah, in the park I had made several craters. I didn't know what to do them with what to do with them at first, but later I just decided to fill them with water. So you'll see several of those throughout the park. And this one was the biggest, and I decided to make a submarine ride in the lake. I think it gives a nice, cool look to it. So yeah, lots of customers on it, and yeah, I think it's quite a popular ride. Okay, here we have another roller coaster. So yeah, this one's also quite cool. I gave it this Space Invaders guy. I made a Space Invaders paint scheme on the ride. I think it's quite a cool effect. So yeah, this coaster is quite a big layout, but also again quite compact. So here's the station, does a turnaround. Actually, while it's on top of the hill, it actually is above the building for a brief moment. And then it does this this weird helix thing. It's called a rose bow. The ride is also called centrifuge because it is so twisty. So yeah, lots of track, but all housed inside this compact building. I'm quite happy with how the layout looks. Okay, and this building, by the way, also houses 2 monorail stations here on the side. Okay, here we have a little food court again with a swinging ship. And here we have a double launched shuttle loop. So yeah, these cars get launched out of the station, do a double loop, go up the spike, and then they return and do the same track backwards. And also through these there are several bridges that go through the loop. This is a design that I always liked to build when I was younger. I always built double shuttle loops in my parks. I don't know why, I just really liked them. And they were compact and easy to build. Okay, here we have another one of those rides that take guests all throughout the park. So here we have these hover bikes. I think they're also from the Time Twister set, from Futuristic Team. So yeah, guests are they leave from this track. They get some speed and they travel low between all of the buildings. I really like. This is one of the rides from the expansions that I actually like. Especially if you make a futuristic park, it's always great to see these hover bikes flying through your park. Of course, I made the track invisible, and also I put a chain lift on every track piece. And that way you can just move them throughout your park at the highest speed. So yeah, I think that works really well. And here at the end they land again on this landing strip and inside the building again. Okay, here is a coaster that you may recognize from one of my other videos. It's one of those triple launch coasters. It actually travels also through the red area of the park. So yeah, first it gets launched up the hill, but with not enough speed to make it over. Then it travels back here through this half loop, again with not enough speed. And then on the third pass it gets another boost and then makes it over the hill. Then it travels here through the Cobra loop, then goes through the loop and through this inversion and then back to the station. You can see it in action here. It's just one of my standard triple launch coasters. I made another video, one of the Get Good series, where you can actually see how to make one of these triple launch coasters. So if you want to make one of these rides, I recommend you watch that video. Okay, what else do we have in the blue area? Yeah, not much. Just another free fall, launched free fall tower. This one in upward launch mode. Okay, then we go to the green area. I think originally this area was yellow, but later I decided to turn it green. The building style is pretty much like the orange one, but I decided to make lots of pipes here between the buildings. And it also has lots more water because of the craters that are here. So yeah, I guess that's the difference this area is going for it. So yeah, let's start in this corner. What we have here is a suspended coaster. I used the rocket trains from one of the expansions. Not sure which expansion set it was, but they're called 1950s rockets. So yeah, it's just a basic suspended coaster layout. Just going down here through some helixes. Again, at the end, a little hill, then some more helixes before it returns to the station. It's quite a short layout, but I think it looks fun. I really like these rocket trains. And here at the end of the layout, the last helix it actually does outside of the building. I thought that was a cool touch. Okay, here's another little food court. I've made this roto drop tower here, which peeks out above the building. It's called re-entry. Here there's a little helicopter ride. In this building I made a ride called Blast Off. It's a limb-launched coaster. Also with a really compact layout, and it stays quite close to the floor. I guess it's kind of similar to the limb-launched coaster that I showed in my previous, one of my previous showcase park videos called the Great Circle. There I also had a limb-launched coaster that stayed really close to the ground. This layout sort of looks like it. I always like these low to the ground layouts. They're quite fun to make. Alright, here we have an Enterprise ride. Here I built a big station for the monorails. So with lots of with large queues here. I built some radar dishes on top. They're also from one of the expansion sets. One of the few items from the expansion sets that I actually like. Okay, here we have another coaster. So this is one of those spiral coasters. This one's called Wizard. So here it has a spiral chain lift going up. Then here it has a curved drop. It's actually divided over 3 buildings. And it has some tunnels between the buildings. So that's why you see these straight sections between the buildings. That's where the tunnels are. So yeah, so first there's a drop here, then some twisty track here, and then some more spaghetti track here. It's really a large knot. Okay, here's some more. Here's a twist, scrambled eggs, right? Some flying saucers, of course, because every futuristic park needs flying saucers. And here again, a little food court. So all the food courts, I think, also sell seafood from these tentacles, because space. Here's another one of those rides with cars that travel all around the park. So here I used these jet plane cars, also from one of the expansions. So just like the rocket cars and the hoverbike cars, these jet planes, they travel on an invisible track covered with chain lift. I put the chain lift at a high speed and they will travel all around the park. You can actually see one of them flying here on the rocket cars, hoverbikes. I just love the way this looks. Alright, before we go to the red area, There's another ride here that I want to show you right in the middle. So in the beginning I was a bit struggling to find something cool to put here in the middle. I ended up putting this huge tower here in the middle. It actually has 4 different colors. So each side corresponds to the color of the area that's right next to it. So here's green, because here's the green area, red, or the red area, etc. So yeah, let's see what's inside this building. So yeah, I made this huge vertical drop roller coaster. So here's the station. I actually made a vertical chain lift that takes it all the way to the top of the building. So you can actually see it here through the glass on the top. And then it drops down, and every time it just goes down 1 floor in the building. So yeah, here's a big floor, you can see it here. And then it breaks here. And then it has another vertical drop to one of the lower floors. So yeah, now you can see it going around the track here. And then when it reaches the end of the floor, it's here, and here it drops again with a vertical drop, now to the lowest floor, and then finally it goes around 1 more time, and then finally it returns back to the station. The cars really slam into the brakes every time, so it's probably not a very realistic ride, but I like the way it worked out. I think it looks really nice in the building, and I think this building is a really nice centerpiece for the park. I think it's quite an eye catcher. Okay, now we go to the final area of the park, the red area. It's the building, the area of the park that I made last. Oh yeah, I've already showed this ride. It's the triple launch coaster, the blue coaster that extends into the red area. Here I made this inverted impulse roller coaster. So yeah, this one has quite a cool shape. So let's see if we can actually see it get launched. It's waiting for passengers. Let's quickly make it run. Okay, there it goes. So first it travels up here over this bridge. Then here it has this spiraling spike. Then it travels back again over the bridge. The monorail passes under it, by the way, and so do the hover bikes. So they pass under this part of the building. And finally, at the back of the end of the ride, there's another twisted spike. So yeah, it's quite a simple layout for the inverted impulse coaster, but I think it looks nice, and I really like how the other rides pass under it. So yeah, in this red area, I made lots of high-rise buildings. Many of them had sort of pointed roofs, still flattened out a bit. I think, yeah, there's also these pipes between buildings, so just to give it a little bit of its own style. So yeah, here's another launched coaster. It's basically really a bigger version of the shuttle loop coaster that I showed earlier. So it gets launched out of the station, goes through these 2 big loops, and then at the end here there's this big spike, vertical spike, and then it travels backwards, and at the end of the track there's another spike. So yeah, again, all these spikes and the loops and the final spike, they're again all housed in really high-rise buildings. I think this looks really cool. Okay, what else do we have here? Ferris wheel, a spiral slide. Here we have this Giga Coaster. So from the station it gets, it's quite difficult to see. From the station, oh, there's a train waiting here. So from the station here, it goes through this launch track. Then it gets launched up the building. On the top of the building it actually does this little figure 8 track. kind of like a Cheetah Run, I guess. And then it drops back into the building. And really inside the building is just a big bowl of spaghetti. Here a little block break, and then yeah, just twists and turns. Mostly right hand turns, as I can see here, yeah. Okay, what else do we have here? Another little food court. Oh yeah, this ride is also quite cool. So this is called Booster Bikes. So the guests get up here on top of the building, and this is a monorail cycle, but it's not a normal monorail cycle, because you may have built one in your park. Normally it's just one person bikes. What I did is actually, with the disable vehicle limits cheat, I turned them all into 7 bike trains, and I put chain lifts on all of the track pieces, just so I could make them move at a higher speed. So yeah, I think that's this gives a cool effect. So now these trains are all following each other. I think there's 3 trains on the track, and they race all over on top of these buildings. I really like the way this looks. And I'm actually building another part now where I also built a ride like this. Always works well in futuristic parks. So yeah, also I like how it goes around this coaster here on top of the roof. Okay, let's see now. Oh yeah, here's another really compact ride called Formula X. So yeah, basically the cars travel up this vertical lift hill, and they drop down, and they go through this really compact track in which I managed to cram 6 inversions. So yeah, I still don't know how I managed to get 6 inversions in this small space. But yeah, this layout is really cool. Also the lift hill was a little bit taller than the building, so I put a little top on the building just so I could house this lift hill, and the guests get to see the outside from here. Here I built another large building for the monorail stations. Lots of big queues in here as well. Here's a little inverter ship. Here I built one of these vertical inverted shuttles. So yeah, this layout is really nothing special. Alright, it's called Wormhole. Just your standard inverted boomerang. Oh yeah, here I built a really cool ride. So you may have seen this in one of my other parks that I put down. This is one of those, what are they called? Skyline attractions coasters. So yeah, I think they built one in one of the Six Flags parks. I think they call this model a Skywarp. So yeah, basically there's some cars here, and they're connected through all these interconnecting sections. So basically it looks like 2 trains are going around the track, which are synchronized. So yeah, building one of these really takes quite a bit of hacking. I needed to use external programs to make this. I probably won't cover this in a tutorial. Maybe I'll just do a small sped up version of me making this, because it takes quite a lot of tinkering with the game to actually get this to work properly. But yeah, I think this looks really cool. This is one of my favorite rides to build, so you'll probably see those in more of my parks. Alright, let's check the next ride. Here we have this go-kart track here in the corner. Yeah, nothing special really. So, unless I missed some of the rides, which is a really good probability just because there are so many. Yeah, so this was the park. I really enjoyed making this. This was a really fun project to make. So yeah, this park really looks good when zoomed out. When you zoom in, There's actually not many details, but yeah, from far away this park just looks awesome. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this park. I will put up another park showcase video soon. If you want to download the park or look at it in your own pace, I'll put a link in the description where you can watch a build log and where you can also download the park. You can also download the scenario there. I made this using a height map, and it may be fun for you to build on as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you again in the next one. See you later.